I've got bruised souls, cause I'm way gone, trying to find my way back home. Count my bones as in desert crumbs flow. I'm gonna turn all of my stones.
Rock bottom make the man and some pressure make a gemstone. Trying to put $1 to my name like Creflo. Niger boy, late to the game, it's in the blood flow. And I'm from the south, it's thick skin and tough bone. Big attitude through big lips with gusto. Trust no kings, that's why they tried to crush souls. But it's IGBO, when the dust blow, this old head be standing there. No silver, just gold. Crack no books on the hustle, I was born to grind. Yo, I'm scared of your potential, I'm adorned with mine. 30 times around the sun, man, of course I shine. My legacy will not dwarf with time. And in my daughter's eyes, it's basic, I must not say quit. Every day sees a present like a Rob St. Nick. Walk a fine line between tenacious and patient. I can't slip, I'm fighting clocks and they can't win.
I've got bruised souls, cause I'm way gone, trying to find my way back home. Count my bones as in desert crumbs flow. I'm gonna turn all of my stones. I've got bruised souls, cause I'm way gone, trying to find my way back home. Who that soldier in the mirror? Oh, oh. I'm gonna turn all of my stones.
Impeccably I flow, hardest raps you know, breaking status quo, reaping what I sow, artistry like Van Gogh. Get it from my mama, hip so thick that I need tempo. Personality, spicy body banging like a bongo. Cause black women been it since Timbuktu, since Pharaoh. Sponge rollers and hot combs, lips, cheeks and brow bones. If you ain't for the culture, then please stay out of my zone. These little dummy rappers could never grace my headphones. See, I'm from a place in space where ain't no storytelling, you just had to have been there. If you want the battle, ain't no problem, stay where I got so much experience, I can't even play fair. But I'ma keep evolving and growing and hurting feelings and showing you need endurance to go in. I got mileage on this pen, I've been busy cause I've been out here schooling all these kids. Took 3 decades to have this glow up that I did.
I've got bruised souls, cause I'm way gone, trying to find my way back home. Count my bones as in desert crumbs flow. I'm gonna turn all of my stones. I've got bruised souls, cause I'm way gone, trying to find my way back home. Who that soldier in the mirror? Oh, oh. I'm gonna turn all of my stones. Turn all of my
Do you guys know, I know you guys were checking shoes last night to see if he was barefoot. Is that still the case? Is he barefoot? Because I know on Facebook somebody posted a picture of these could be his shoes, or is that so he is presumed to be barefoot at this point?
What I can say is that his mom says all of his shoes are accounted for at the house. I'm not going to say that he's barefoot.
All right.
Allegedly!
Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. This is Lady Freedom here coming at you with another raw narrative. Here's a brief disclaimer for tonight's show. Let's watch.
That's ignorant! Allegedly, that's ignorant! Ignorant.
Judgment, Alfred.
Boy, you read my thoughts. You've got the shinin.
You mean shining?
Shh! You wanna get sued?
Judgment, Alfred.
You just use that shin of yours to call me and I'll come a running. But don't be reading my mind between 4 and 5. That's Willie's time.
Hey, yo, boss. I love him when he does that.
Let's watch.
Don't get me back to good bullshit.
Hello everyone. Welcome back to my channel. This is Lady Freedom here coming at you with another raw narrative. And it's so good to see you guys tonight. Thank you all for coming in. Welcome in Dragon Tribe. And thank you for being here. So we did a live last night. If you didn't get a chance to check it out, definitely go back and watch it. But we're going to kind of continue where we left off somewhat. I was going to put a video out, but you guys sent me a lot of really great information. So I didn't get a chance to compile everything together because so many people were sending information, right? Which is awesome. I'm not complaining. It's just, hey, witchy mama. You guys crack me up when you say that. Lady Freedom in the house. Oh my gosh. So it's just overwhelming. I'll just say that. But there's a lot of good information and a lot, that we can take away from it in, looking at it now. I wish that we would have had this information a little sooner, although we have it now. Hey, Jules, I'm definitely on coffee. Um, I'm on coffee right now heavily because I'm like, I need to keep my energy up. But you guys kept me on my toes. Just everything that you guys were sending in will just really work out nicely. As we're trying to get this information out and understand all of it, because it's a lot of information. A lot has been said, a lot has been done. 2 years is a long time. And so maybe not in the grand scheme of things, but if we're looking at a case where there's a missing child, 2 days is too long, 2 hours is too long. Um, I just can't imagine. So and good to see you, Chuchi. Thank you so much for putting in the disclaimers tonight. I'm just going to say hi to everyone who's in here. So thank you so much for being here, guys, and for the green hearts. And hello, Detroit. Good to see you. I'm so glad. That was so nice too, Detroit. How sweet of you. And Jules is here also. I said hi to Jules. And Christmas Swan. Hello, Christmas Swan. And Sasha. Good to see you, Sasha. And Groot, good to see you. I finally got your wrench today, Groot. Or I know they do shields, but I still see a wrench on my end. But I'm so glad to have you. So that's awesome. Um, I meant to do it yesterday, and I did not. This last week has been really, really. It's been a tough week, right? It's a tough week for a lot of reasons, and just keeping really busy with a lot of things. So, and Brock, it's so good to see you and thank you for being here. And Coffee Crime and Cats is here, and Witchy Mama is here. Thank you for being here, Witchy Mama. And let's see here. I hope everyone had a nice weekend too. That's so nice of you. Um, Groot, Groot sometimes hides in the bushes. No, I do too, though, sometimes because it's like, especially if I can't stay long or I'm just kind of popping in to see what people are talking about and that sort of thing. So, um, oh, good to see you, Couponing. Couponing is here, Super Sleuth. And also, Bo is here. Hey, Bo. Poor Bo. Bo, we've all been kind of looking for some clips. I don't want to say which ones, because, oh boy. I think some of it was either taken out or deleted, and I have to go through and look. I was looking to see if maybe I made a video on it. I thought I did anyway, but I was doing a lot of comparison videos in the very beginning, and it had to have been a video because I wasn't going live back in the time period that I'm looking for. I was still making just, videos and, didn't know my ass from a hole in the ground. Still, don't. But, I'm getting better at videos and things like that. But I mean, I was just like brand new to things. Um, with videos. So, Lady Freedom enters the stream. Hello, Shadow. Good to see you. Thank you. Thank you so much, Jules. Yeah, we're going to be looking at a website tonight. Again, we kind of went into this youth opportunity investments, right? They are an LLC um, that owns Bledsoe Youth Academy and some other academies. Like they will name the academies after um, the different places where they're located. So we have a couple of assessment centers. But we have like New Hope Youth Center, Osceola Youth Center, but then we have also some that are just youth academies, right? Um, so we're going to go over some of them today. They're located in 4 different states, which is Florida, Tennessee, Michigan, Texas. Okay, so that's kind of what we're looking at. Um, and the majority of these places are in Tennessee. Second highest location number is in Florida. Next is Michigan, and Texas, there's only one. So just to kind of put out there what we're looking at. Okay, and oh, hi, hey, Mama's World, good to see you. Hey, I did get your email. I emailed you back because I was going to tell you, join the Discord and we can get more people on that, what you were asking me in the email. That way we can get more participation. Um, and Andrea, it's so good to see you. Oh my gosh, it was so I was just stumbling through making the videos, which I'm getting better and better at it, of course, as I practice. But it's just funny when I look back at my old videos or just, people will say, "Oh my gosh, lady, you sound so different." Like if I do a throwback and play, and I'm like, I know, it's because I was using different headphones and stuff back then. But yeah, I've always used the same program, which it's because I know it, and it is a good program. They do a lot of updates and stuff like that. So yeah, Bo, but I appreciate you guys and Chuchi and Jules. Oh my gosh, we were all working today. Everybody was sending out information, Witchy, just all of us kind of working together. And I could see that you guys had sparked a lot of interest in this topic, even getting emails and different things like that. I was just answering them and sending out emails. I did email Seth about this, of course, and just let him know, like, this is what we're thinking. Have you checked into it? And that sort of thing, So I haven't had a chance to check back to see if he's even said anything. But also, I know that he's going through a hard time with losing Tony, and going to his funeral and everything was just this week, guys. I mean, it's everything is very fresh still. And it's still emotional for people who knew Tony, and I know it's emotional for a lot of you guys because I mean, you know, we watch people on the podcasts or even on court TV and stuff like that, and we think, okay, well, we can get a good read on their personality, but it's not always so easy like that. But a lot of times we do feel like we know these people, so it goes both ways. Um, and it's just a tough time. It really is. So, Groot, that's okay. I'm like that too. Sometimes I'm like, oh, I can't have that much dead air, because I don't want you guys to be bored or anything. Be like, okay, get to the point, lady. Sometimes I take a while to get there, um, but yeah, no, I'm like that too. I get very quiet, and I'll tell you today, if I've ever been on sensory overload, it was today, and probably this whole week, because we also had Devlin's 1 year. Um, we've had a lot go on, just a lot. It's been, um, and yeah, I'm fueled by I'm fueled by straight coffee. Like I do the shots of espresso in my Keurig, and I'm like, woohoo, So that's where I'm at with with that. And I try to like drink some in the morning, and then like before I go live. And morning for me is early afternoon for you guys. So sometimes I get up before noon though, because it depends on how late I go live till. So I could at least get some bit of sleep so my brain's not totally mush by the time I get up here at night. Um, I know. Yeah, that was another thing. Poor Jules. And then in the middle of everything, I got Amazon telling me that they delivered a package, and I'm like, no, you didn't. And then they're like, yes, we did, and we gave it to the person who it belongs to. And I'm like, no, you didn't. 'Cause I'm the person that ordered it, right? It was my daughter's graduation stuff, so of course I'm like, oh God, don't let it go, because I have a little bit of time, but I was making sure I did it a little bit before, so it was all here and I can get it all, spruced up, because that's what I like to do. Um, it might come like a certain way, but I'm making like a little basket of stuff, and so it's like, ah, it's just crazy. But then I look at my neighbors, um, and the package is sitting on their porch, and so I was like, okay, well, there you go. So everything was good. So then I had to contact Amazon back and be like, never mind, I don't want to. Please don't try to refund me or send me an extra, um, or anything like that. But yeah. So, that's wonderful. Detroit, that's great. Oh, oh my gosh. It is so much. I'm gonna put a video together, but I have to put all of it together for you guys to see it, for you guys to view it too. Hey, Rob Beanie, good to see you. And Crazy Bird is here. Hey, Crazy Bird. My brain was whirling last night with the hamster wheel chasing cookies. So much info to process. I know. I'm like that too, Witchy. I have to have time to process it. And then also, I'm trying to put it into a timeline, like to show all you guys. So just, getting a lot of information just from that website was like, I was like, well, guys, I don't know that we're going to, look at every location tonight. And so that's why we're kind of doing a part two, because I was like, oh my gosh, there's tons of stuff here. Um, and every link has a location. But I want to go over the Tennessee locations first. I just feel like that's um, what might be the best idea, and then kind of branch out. Florida is the next highest. Um, you know, for options. Not every facility is geared towards like an inpatient or live in facility. So, and again, I don't know, nor have I seen any accreditation from any of the people that they hire, except for when we're looking at their job board. They are looking for specific roles to fill and positions that are professional. They do say that all of their academics transfer over to whatever, school district the school falls into, right? Probably whatever district it's in. That's usually how schools run things, right? Is by district. And um, now there's a couple of things with these theories that I just want to also kind of throw out there, in my opinion, because when I look at a theory, I want to play it all the way through, right? I don't want to just stick on one subject or another. I want to make sure it's going to work all the way through. So some of the things that I can see that may be wrong with this theory of Sebastian's in one of these schools or facilities would be because there is a reward, right, through the FBI for $50,000. But then when I'm doing more research, and a good friend and a good source that I work with sent me over some information where, I forgot, but at the 6-month mark, Memphis, the TBI field office did issue, excuse me, the FBI field office in Memphis, excuse me, did issue the $50,000 reward for Sebastian. So, what information led them to believe that that was necessary? Right. So there's some connections, even though there may seem to be like, well, that doesn't make sense. Why would they do that? Because, the state's involved, or the state would have knowledge, right? Or they wouldn't hide a kid out. But we just don't know that. We just don't know that. Because some of these places are not places that play by the rules, and Bledsoe Academy is one of them, right? They've changed it. Hello, Stephanie Williams. Good to see you. And Andrea, good to see you. I'm sorry if I say people doubled up. I just want to say hi to everyone who's in here. Hey, KJ. Good to see you. Um, so let me show you this really quick. So if we just go to www. In here for you guys to do your own research, let me go ahead and copy this link and paste it down here because I did add some things into Discord earlier today for people to work with until I can get a video out. And a big shout out to our friend KJ too for sending over kind of a timeline, or not a timeline, but like some key points about um, how the school is paid for and who's running it, right? And we do have some pictures, like Chuchi had sent me some pictures. So I'm going to put those together in a video format, like I always do for you guys, so you can see all the information. And of course, we'll go over it in a live. But if you go to this, where I link the link, if you click the link and you go over to the home page, I mean, that's where the landing page you'll get to. um, you'll see it's youth opportunity investments. And how we know this is because there was a story done by Channel 5 in Nashville, and they were talking about what had happened with the New Hampshire boys who had come to stay at Bledsoe Youth Academy. Okay. And all of this transpired. And I got really stuck on the year 2022 because of Sebastian. I'm still thinking about back then. And again, that's what we've been working back even further from his disappearance. Um, the 16 months before, right? Even 17, where they move in to the house in Victoria Place, right? They move from White House to Victoria Place. Then the first CPS report comes out, right? And that's in the fall of 2022. So with Bledsoe, they started having these issues back in July of 2023. And then this expose came out by News Channel 5, Nashville, and that was in September of 2023. Okay, so according to Seth, around November of 2023, that's when Chris and Katie were trying to get Sebastian to go to Bledsoe. And that is when there was some ramping up of this DCS reports, right? I know everybody's used to calling them CPS, but I'm going to try super hard to call them DCS because that's what they call it in Tennessee. And I just want to make sure that we're looking in the right places, because a lot of times the keywords that we punch in when we're searching are really important to remember to do the right thing with, right? So it doesn't throw things out of whack. So I know that people are used to hearing CPS, but it's really Department of Children's Services in Tennessee, um, social services. And again, we're going to see that the way that and we talked about it last night, but the way that you would get into a program like this would be through um, DCS, right? A referral from them, and then the parents would fill out the referral form, and then you would go to a facility for intake and assessment, right? And this is Gallatin Primary Assessment Center, also known as Bledsoe Youth Academy. But it wasn't always called Gallatin Primary Assessment Center. When they were looking at this place to send Sebastian to, it was called Bledsoe Youth Academy. And as you can see on the list here, there's several of them that are named as youth academies: Lebanon, Cleveland, Elizabethton, right, Mount Juliet, Memphis, and so on, right? And then we have a couple of places up in Michigan. One again is Rockdale Youth Academy. Some of these locations are also geared towards adult career planning activities, which I found that to be interesting as well. That they would move people around and, assess them and keep them, and, even after they're an adult. Yeah, Memphis is on the list. Yeah, I know. Memphis, of all places, is on the list. you know. So this is about a school in Florida, ran for 100 years, closed in 2011. Over 100 kids died. Yeah, crazy bird. I know. And that's the thing. I mean, Bledsoe has had casualties also. And the big blow up was, really when well, as far as I can tell, if I do some more research or something comes up to tell me something different, but it really looks like when the New Hampshire boys were sent there and they were being mistreated like they were, and they told about it, that's when, you know, really kind of put it on the map, right, for what was going on and that sort of thing. Hey, NorCal SoGal, good to see you. So, yeah, I just think it's interesting, um, all of it, especially that DCS did not tell Seth anything about what was going on in the Proudfoot residence. So, were they even aware of Seth? And then I also heard something interesting about maybe the social worker wasn't fired from her position, which again, brings me back to the lack of accountability, especially in Sebastian's case. So, again, I just kind of wanted to show you guys that this is the Bledsoe Youth Academy, right? And from the front, we're kind of seeing it from the back parking lot, it seems, but like from the front. And I mean, this is like where the kids are able to be out, just this little tiny area. Now, it was a 30-bed facility, right, where they would live. The kids would live there. Um, NorCal SoGal, thank you. My thoughts and prayers to Tony Mathis, by the way. Yeah, and I definitely want to do something like a meal train after my trip, because I know Dana's going to have a birthday, so I'm going to have Jen help us with that, in order to get us a link and stuff like that. So I think that'll be the best thing, to just kind of send things like that. I think it worked out well for the ease and um, you know Michael Monkey Vaughn, Brandy had also had a meal train, so I think it worked out well. Um, so, they seem to mirror how the Department of Corrections, yeah, decides, yeah, I know who goes where. I know, Brenda, it's weird, right? At first they go to a diagnostic center, then get farmed out to the institution that best fits their needs. Yeah, I agree with that. I think it's, where they're absolutely more of, because it says, like, a lot of times too during, my research looking up Bledsoe, it says we're not a detention facility, like, putting emphasis on that as if at one point they were a detention facility for, like, behavioral disordered children, right? Like, where we think of children who have gone to juvie, and then that's the next step, right? Would be like, okay, now you're going to Bledsoe, and we're gonna straighten you out, or hey, instead of sending this child to juvenile detention, let's send them to Bledsoe. So it's a little bit more structured, but we're finding out that they run it like a little, like a kiddie jail or something. Like, it's so weird. Um, and I agree. It is, it's concerning, especially that they wanted to send Sebastian to some, that it's concerning to me that a social worker, right? I mean, even a mom definitely, but a social worker would think that this would be a good idea. And this is the way that you get into this program, is through social services. So, you know, yeah, they are unbelievable. Yeah, NorCal. Well, we were gonna do like a wind chime thing, but the service happened really, really quick. So I know Jen's group did that, and then I was like, well, let's do a meal train. Um, because Jen was saying that, yeah, Dana's going to have a birthday coming up. So I think that'd be nice. Um, yeah, but these places are crazy as hell. And, it's just, it just looks like Sebastian was being told that he was going somewhere, doing something or something, like Katie was definitely reading him the riot act. I wish we could tell more of what is being said. Um, there's just no way. The only thing that we can really, I think, take away from it is when like Sebastian shrugs or when Katie puts her hand up, in the, why kind of motion, like what or why, right? That those are the things that we can kind of pick out that would suggest what's being talked about. But in terms of us ever knowing what was said at that table, I don't think that we'll ever know what was said. I think we can base it off of what we're seeing and the reactions of Sebastian, the body language. So I know Bledsoe, Bledsoe, you think I know, especially when we know what goes on there. I mean, they're like, "Hey, jump that kid for snitching," and like, it's like, whoa, who's it being run by, thugs or like I don't know. Ooh, I don't get it. Why you would send Sebastian there of all places is beyond me. It's almost like the social worker didn't even talk to Sebastian. Which some of these people are good out there and some of them are not. So parents can demean their children to CPS or DCS and send them there instead of, yeah, Joe Dirt and them. Yeah, exactly. Well, I think that's what they wanted to do to Sebastian. I mean, they didn't want him there, which he over and over and over again saying, well, we don't want him. Okay, he's doing all right now. Okay, well, now he's not, back and forth. And, at least Seth had the, foresight to put him in the program on the wait list, right? And not take him off of it. Don't be wishy-washy. And that's one thing, that I have to commend Seth for because sometimes people might think, okay, well, if things are going all right over there, but no, he knew to keep him on that list. In my opinion, anticipating him to come live at his house. Um We have a few prisons they call treatment centers, but they're still prison. Right, Brenda, exactly. Yeah, that's a great point. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I mean, that's kind of the vibe I'm getting from all of these programs, right? And the program description, and then, you got these facilities that are only housing boys. You got, their age, this one's age 13 to 17, and I just don't know. What we were trying to figure out as well is when did it move over from Bledsoe Youth Academy to Gallatin Primary Assessment Center? Um, I want to know when it turned from being, like where they have beds, right? 30 beds, so that's how many kids they can have um in the quote unquote program. Um, and when did it change over to just an assessment center? Because it does appear that the children stay while they're being assessed until they're moved to the appropriate placement, right? The best placement. Um, right. Like, and then what is intensity, right? Or frequency duration of care? That's another thing that's very concerning because then again, if there's facilities in Michigan that help with trades and things like that, then that means that the child could potentially be moved even as an adult to another facility if they so choose. And did they get some kind of guardianship of Sebastian illegally? I mean, we have frickin' Patty who likes to write up documents for them as a lawyer that she is. So I don't know. I mean, it's just something to look at. And again, this is not a perfect theory. This is not 100%. Oh my gosh, we cracked the case. So we know that Sebastian's got to be at these 28 locations. Do I think he's at Bledsoe Assessment Center still? No, I don't. But could he have been taken there at some point? Or could they have, skipped the assessment and put him where they thought he belonged? It's a possibility, because these programs have always been a strong possibility, especially once we knew that that's what they were looking at doing to begin with. That's when they really became something where people were looking at that on their radar. And then we do have the suspicious activity at the Texas Roadhouse, also the suspicious activity at 3 a.m. in the neighborhood. And again, do I think that they would go to the neighborhood if they didn't have to? No, I think if they did the deed, it would have been at 3 o'clock, right? It would have been at that time. Chris saying, "Oh, well, I went home on the 26th and I saw Sebastian then." Really, Chris? What was it at 3 a.m.? That's what it makes me think of. Um, but again, I don't think that they would have done something with Sebastian on the way home from Texas Roadhouse and then drawn attention to the house. Um, why was the house so dark? Right? That's another question that I have. If they weren't doing something nefarious at the house. So again, every time I think of something, I can almost maybe think of an explanation for it. Um, on some of this. But a lot of it just doesn't make any sense. And then I thought, well, maybe something was supposed to happen at the Texas Roadhouse, but Green Hoodie screwed it up, right? And came up and was, doing the PP dance for 2 minutes, waiting on Katie to come out and give her something. I mean, it definitely looked like they exchanged something. And maybe it was, something that was supposed to happen on the way home, and then they were supposed to make it home, and then the 3 a.m. Lights still have something to do with, or the 3 a.m. activity in the neighborhood have something to do with Sebastian's disappearance. But I just don't see them taking the chance, because I think that they could even like have packed. And another thing is, if they were going to pack a bag for Sebastian, why wouldn't they pack the things that he likes and his clothes and things to make it appear that he packed them on his own, if they were worried about packing any of his belongings? And then again, at these programs in these schools, they don't take the kids' clothing or any of their personal effects. They don't care about that, right? These are usually clinical environments and very horrific conditions, much like the horrific conditions in institutions. And some of their therapies are very unorthodox, or they are of some very strange teachings and weird programming, reprogramming, and that sort of thing, which is basically we're brainwashing someone. And if they don't like it, then we're gonna, hurt them, type of a thing. So, NorCal SoCal says, I've completely lost faith in CPS, DCS, etc. after learning about the horrors, oversight, abuse, neglect, and worse. I mean, that's the thing I mean, these places are funded by mental health dollars from Tennessee. That's what this Bledsoe is. That's where they get monies to keep going. Um, and it's kind of scary. It's kind of scary to think that they are getting money for mental health services, and they're telling kids to jump each other and showing, corn movies to kids in this facility specifically. And that was just, a few years ago. It was right before Sebastian went missing. So, right, it's as bad as the orphanages, right? Coffee, Crime, and Cats. Yeah, it makes me think back. Oh, hey Scranton, drive safe. Aw. Oh. So yeah, I mean, Don't talk about his mommy Cruella or his truck. Sorry, it's sad that the money is evil and get by with the wrong things. In my opinion, KK is worse than Crispy Edgar PP Pants, in my opinion. Yeah, I think so too. I think so too, because Katie is part of it and she chooses to be a part of it. She's like, I want to sit over there with those people, you know? And I do think that that's the worst because that's her son. I mean, she should be sticking up for her son. A lot of the things that Katie's ever said about Sebastian, I don't know how she can say it. You know, and I know she said he's a sweet boy and she said a couple of things he likes to help and positive things. And she has been one to kind of curb what Crispy is saying, I will give her that. But I'm telling you, if somebody talked about or to my child like that, I would be pissed off. Like it just wouldn't happen. And I think she allows it. And then the bullying of Sebastian, she was definitely allowing for that too with Aunt Melissa. And we saw that on camera. You know, if somebody was doing that to my kid and getting close to him like that, I would be like, Aunt Melissa, please, you need to step off. Right? He's visibly upset and you're filming him and he doesn't want you to do that. And she did it several times to him. So, I mean, I just don't know why she would do something like that. I don't. I really don't. So, KJ says Chris said she took Sebastian outside and talked to him. How does Chris know what she said? Either he lied about that or he was eavesdropping on the cameras. Yeah, I mean, I think that probably I think that Chris might have been manufacturing a story with Katie, and that's why it kind of seems like he was there, in my opinion. Oh, really? Oh, Norkel says that she went to a wedding last night or yesterday, and people were asking about Sebastian. Oh, that's sweet. Yeah. If they signed the paperwork on this, would HIPAA protect the family? Um, well, you're not supposed to give if you're a medical professional, you're not supposed to give out people's medical records is what HIPAA is. So, but if somebody is missing and they're on the FBI most wanted list like Sebastian is, I don't think anybody would be bound by HIPAA. But that's a good question. So, I'm betting it changed over around the time of the New Hampshire kids. Press, press, press. Yeah, I mean, that's the only thing I can think of. Um, Gators wanting to chat. Jules. Um, I mean, that's kind of what we were thinking in terms of the timeline, putting together the timeline, because all of this happened in July and, with the New Hampshire kids, and then it kind of was getting out into leaking out into the news, and the news did well, the news that I put out was September of 23. So, July of 23, September of 23, and then, um, that was around the same time that Sebastian was gonna go there, so I'm guessing it was pretty darn close or soon after, but I did do a live about Bledsoe and about the New Hampshire kids and kinda read over the documents. I need to find it. I need to find which live that was. I so wish we could hear from Sebastian's teachers, counselors, school administrators. I know. Yeah, I hope I would hope we would have heard from them too. I know, his 8th grade teachers came out and talked, which was really sweet of them. But yeah, I wish we would have saw more of that too. NorCal, I agree. Yeah. Mhm. Uh we DoorDash and everything we or every time we see a green porch light, we think of Sebastian. Aw. Yeah, Michigan. Yeah, they have them in Michigan. So, and those ones are more attached to the school district, which, makes me wonder if the troubled kids are sent to those facilities or what. Um, you know. Hmm. Yeah, the 3 a.m. I know. Yeah, and there's a little bit more like what we were talking about too, Jules, about how there's some details and how the dogs were reacting and things like that. Um, Even if they send him to one of these so-called behavioral schools, I just don't see or I just don't think so. I know, I know. Well, here's the thing, something could have happened while he was there too, which makes me concerned, right? If I think about the worst case scenario about him being in a school or the best one. The best one is that he's still in the school and he's doing all right, with everything, the best he can be doing, but he would still be under stress, I would imagine. And then, who knows what he was told about his parents and things. Because of course, I think that Sebastian would know that his dad would be looking for him. So, um Gator. That's funny. Oh my goodness. Hey, Kylie Ray, good to see you. Well, and I mean, it makes me wonder, Crazy Bird. I know there's times where I don't think that sometimes I don't think they're the brightest crayons in the box. But then there's other times where I'm like, hey, they pulled it off this long. They've covered some tracks, even though I don't think it was very difficult because I don't think that the investigation was done the way that it should have been done. I mean, I can't sugarcoat that. So I think he might be Christmas Swan. I mean, Brenda says the level of violence or need for treatment. Many of these kids have dual diagnosis. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, prisons also have levels and they get scores based on educational needs, medical needs, um, at risk and custody score. Wow. Yeah, and I mean, it just appears to me that Seth was not aware of any of this stuff that was going on. So, what was the social worker allowing for them to fill out paperwork for Sebastian without Seth's knowledge? But then again, people might say, well, say Katie and Chris were asking Seth about Bledsoe and he said no. So again, why would they bring it to his attention if they were able to do it all on their own? So that kind of stumps me right there too, because it does appear that they were asking Seth for his feedback or his input or what have you, but they weren't able to get his okay for it. So that's what makes me think they did something on their own. So Robbie and he says CP could have dressed up like he did on Clues Channel and pretended to be Seth or even used his notary to forge paperwork allegedly. Yeah, I mean, and that's another strong possibility. I mean, I'm guessing this lady knew them though. The social worker got to know. Um, so yeah, and I mean, I just I haven't thought that any of the sightings were Sebastian. Now, did they look like him? Absolutely. There's been so many that were very close for me. um, and did look a lot like Sebastian. But there's been a lot too that I've seen, and I'm like, no, there's just no way. Um, and unfortunately, I mean, Grandfather Mountain, in my opinion, that one was a close one. Yeah, the Missouri lead was a close one. Um, there were a couple of really close calls, but nothing that I thought, oh my gosh, that's Sebastian. So the corruption and fraud and the misappropriation of funds in these kinds of places is sickening. Oh, definitely. I witnessed it in California and now in Tennessee. Yeah, and I mean that's the thing, even looking into, and researching some of this stuff and how, you know, again, these monies are coming about and state funded, and then they're saying they're a non for profit, but they are for profit. Especially having a group or a company, an LLC, to be, specific, that says youth opportunities investments, right? It says a lot right in that name, right? That um they're looking at the youth as an opportunity to invest in, right? But not the way we would think. It appears to be very corrupt. And it seems like they are definitely putting these children at risk in these facilities. And again, just seeing how they will put them in certain locations to assess their behaviors, right? And Florida is where you see a lot of these academies, right? You have a treatment center. But other than that, all of the other locations, the 9 locations here, are going to be um, academies, right? And then we have youth centers in Michigan, and then we have a youth academy in Texas. Again, some more here in Tennessee, but then there's also all of these assessment centers, right? So, I mean, if we click on Harpeth Primary Assessment Center, um, you know, doesn't look as risky as the other one, but it seems like they do the same thing, right? So this is a 24-bed youth assessment center that provides observation and evaluation services, support the Tennessee Department of Children Services, right, DCS, in understanding each youth's unique strengths and needs, right? And this program here is going to be from 10 years old to 17, right? So, and they operate 24/7 year round. Um, they offer a variety of services, and again, this is all pretty much matching what they do over at the Gallatin location. So, um, it's basically the same. Now, this one has vocational training options also. And then again, referral sources and fees. All resident referrals to Harpeth Primary Assessment Center shall come from Tennessee Department of Children's Services offices across the state of Tennessee. Each referral is executed in accordance with the placing agency's rate methodology. So it's all up to DCS where these children go. And that's how you get like the referral and the form to fill out. So again, if it's just a form to fill out, what type of identification do they require? Because I mean, you would have to be sending these kids, either out of state, in some cases, or keeping them in the same state, but you would still think that you would have some sort of, I don't really even want to say that. I don't I don't I really don't think that CP said is all about that worker. Well, and there could have been other workers. There could have been other workers too. And I don't believe what CP said about the worker. No. I mean, unless they had the worker convinced that Sebastian was the problem. I can see that. Um, and yes, Witchy, it does. It's just that like parents are not held to HIPAA. Um, the only people that are held to HIPAA are medical professionals, because I know that that was like a big thing that, you know, that was a piss poor excuse by Chris Proudfoot that doesn't understand HIPAA law or why it exists. Um, Give Gator a treat and a tummy pat for me, says Brenda. Aw. I don't know, Scranton. I don't know if he will bring charges on the floor. I mean, I think that civilly he could have a case. Um, oh, the Foot Clan. Oh, yeah. Okay. I was like the floor. Oh, well. I thought you meant like the floor, um, in the grand scheme of things. But I mean, I would think he would have grounds to do so. I don't know if he will. Um, it's difficult because Sebastian hasn't been found. So in order to assess damages, it's like a good example that I can refer to would be Gabby Petito's case, where the Petito Schmidts were wanting answers because they found Gabby, and so then they found Brian and everything, but they knew that the laundries knew more about what had happened, and they wanted to sue them civilly, which they did. And in that when that happened, they were able to depose them and ask them questions and get some answers and some clarity. But, that was um, after Gabby was already found. So again, they knew that they had lost their daughter, and it was pretty clear on how that happened. And so they were able to go after them civilly. I just don't know if any lawyers would be prepared to do something like that with Sebastian still missing. And again, I think that's why the CPS reports have not been used against the Proudfoots, or they haven't been arrested for abuse, because there is no witness, right? Like the state could pick up the charges, but if there's no witness to the crime, then it's harder to prove, because the victim's not there to proclaim what happened. Hey Brad, good to see you. I'm talking about the DCS worker who supposedly took Sebastian outside for privacy. In my opinion, told him he could get in trouble. And remember, they had no cameras. How did CP know what was said? Um, I don't know, but I don't believe a lot that comes out of Chris's mouth. In terms of when he's telling a story and he's being very braggadocious about said story, I just don't know that I fully believe it. Like, when he's telling the CPS worker, like, oh, he's just a child, and stuff like that. Like, I think that was totally made up by Chris. I do. I think it was totally made up. Yeah. Well, that's true, Witchies. Scranton, nobody but Seth knows that, but he has said nothing can be done till Sebastian is found or he comes home. Yeah. Yeah, and we were talking about that in the war room too, because I know that that is a big, big deal for people. I mean, it is for me as well, right? Because I want to see justice for Sebastian, and I feel for Seth because he didn't know that things were so bad. I mean, he had little kind of breadcrumbs and things like that, but sometimes you just, move forward, and he was doing the best that he could do to get, school situated and everything. And he was working towards, you know, the day that Sebastian was going to come live with him. So, um, it's tough when you're divorced. I mean, you can't do anything about what the other parent is doing in their house, right? You just can't. I mean, and a lot of times too, if you are the one that reports, the other parent, you're the one that looks like an asshole. You're the one that looks like you're not in the best interest of the kid, that you're being vindictive, whatever. Um, it's looked at a lot differently when it comes to family court. And I'm not saying it's right. I think it's horrible. I do. I do. I think it's awful. But it is the way it is. That's just the way it is. I don't know if anybody owns a Jeep, Sasha. That's a good question. I don't know. Um, oh wow. Stephanie says they sent my son to a mental facility in Chattanooga, Tennessee, and they put him in a boys' home in South Carolina. I fought for my son because I was a single mom as he ran away. Oh, and he ran away. Oh my goodness. I'm so sorry, Stephanie. I mean, and that's the thing. Some of those places are so secretive, which is scary. It's scary to think that DCS is involved in any of these facilities, because I just didn't think that that was a thing. Um, in which he says, Lady Freedom, if this pans out and Sebastian is found in one of these places, CP kind of told on himself with its HIPAA leakage. Yeah, I know. Well, that's the thing. I'm hoping that we can go back and kind of, piece some things together. That's why I'm so, like, I want to make sure I can get this video out and get everything in it condensed, everything that we've been talking about and stuff, and everything everybody's been sending over. Um, because it is very confusing, but I think he's leaked a lot out. I really do. I think we just don't know what to listen to or what we can believe. Like I was telling KJ, I don't know what to believe from that man. I feel like they've manufactured their story. I think they've absolutely manufactured it. That's why it doesn't sound like Chris was over the phone. He sounds like he's there because that's the story that they're sticking to. Um, I'm sure there is. Kylie Ray, I will tell you, that is what's very overwhelming about these camps and centers and ranches and, all of these facilities, I guess we can call them. That's what's so crazy about it, because there's so many of them everywhere. Everywhere. Like places that you wouldn't even think that you've never even heard of them. So, well, and that's the thing. They do not have to pay. The parents do not pay for these. This is a DCS referral, and these facilities are funded by the state. So they're getting money, to run these facilities. So they're not having to pay out of pocket if it's a DCS referral. So, well, and Stephanie, I don't think that they were taking into account Sebastian's, different abilities, right? I mean, if they told the DCS worker that Sebastian has a rare chromosome deletion and he was recently diagnosed with autism, right? He's got a pocket of fluid on his brain. Why would they send him someplace like this is my question too. There's no reason for that. It doesn't fit what he was needing, you know? So, and I can't believe it, Witchy. I cannot believe that they're paid that way, you know? It blows my mind. And the only way that you can get referrals, according to what we've all kind of come up with here, is that you get them from DCS, and they're regulated by DCS. And I mean, all of these locations appear like Cumberland Primary Assessment. And that looks like the picture that I just showed you guys, and I clicked on a different center, by the way. So I don't know what kind of hokey pokey shit that is. And it's the same, right? It's the same. And then Two Rivers Primary Assessment, same, right? 10 to 17. Gallatin accepts 13 to 17. And then we have Bartlett Primary. Oh, well, this is a different facility. Well, hot damn. All right. So, and again, here's this little facility. This one doesn't say how many. Oh, 32 beds. There we go. 32 bed assessment. 13 to 17. Right. And the average length of stay is 30 days, because they're going to put them someplace else. They're going to refer them out depending on what their assessment has told them. So that's what's crazy. So that's what we've kind of uncovered lately, is that they're not, because we were talking about how much were they willing to pay to put Sebastian in Bledsoe. And then when Seth came back with his 4 that he got from a specialist that deals with residential housing for autistic children, then we realized that they weren't going to pay that much. You know, hey Tori. Tori says, I was told by a local here that Terry B's sister and husband both work for Department of Children Services in Tennessee. And see, that I heard that as well in the beginning, Tori. Yeah, I heard that too. I don't, well, see, and I mean, and if they're referred, they won't have to pay anything out of pocket. You know, they wouldn't have to pay anything at all. So yeah, I remember hearing that too, Brenda, though. Um, I did. I heard that in the beginning, I believe. Well, and also there was speculation about possibly them knowing people at the sheriff's office, and that's who they called instead of, using the 911. So, yeah, it's just interesting. I know. Well, and I mean, we can look people up depending on the area. I mean, I would think so. That's another reason why I just don't know if this theory works. You know, because if they took him somewhere, I would think they would be able to. They could charge him. They could charge Katie and possibly Chris, for not telling Seth or law enforcement, because obviously they've been looking and they've had knowledge of this. So yeah, that's a good idea, Scrit, and I have the little note things on my phone too. Yeah, exactly. Parental alienation, mental abuse, etc. Yeah, well, and think of all the resources that were wasted as well. I mean, not wasted to find Sebastian. I'm saying, if they knew where he was the whole time, which a lot of times it does seem like they do. Yeah, all of those records are. See, this is the thing that bothers me too. Kylie Ray says, are all the would be all confidential if it was referred. I would believe so. And let's not forget, there's still a 5th CPS report out there. that was filed at the end of January, early February, right? So did they make arrangements for CPS to take Sebastian? Or sorry, DC. See, I'm trying so hard to switch it. DCS, right? Department of Children's Services, because this is the one that this is where you would get referred to, right? And this is who calls the shots, right? Would be the DCS, right? So, and just taking a look at another one, Lebanon Youth Academy. Here's another one, and this one's an 18-bed, 12 to 17. A bunch of array of mental health treatment, art, music, recreation, therapies, education, right? 24 hours, 7 days a week. So even any of these, Sebastian would have fit the criteria until now that he's 17, right? Because these facilities are focused in until 17, most of them. So, and I'm sorry I'm behind in chat, guys. Yeah, well, and that's what I'm wondering, because it's all mental health. It's also funded by Tennessee Mental Health, right? So it's falling under the category of mental health, you know? I mean, it would have to be a high level of corruption, but we know that CPS has a lot of that going on in Tennessee, in other areas too. It's not just Tennessee, but so don't forget there was a lady chatting to me and said that she knew Sebastian was moved out of state by DCS. Yeah, I mean, and that's the thing, like that is what these treatment centers or locations are for, you know, right here. Because if we go to Brooksville Youth Academy, right, it's a much larger building. And look at this. Brooksville Youth Academy is a psychiatric residential treatment facility serving 72 males between the ages of 13 and 17 years old who have behavioral support needs to require temporary care in a high structured, supportive, and therapeutic setting, right? So this is one of the places that they would go to. So, and they do have applied behavioral analysis here, ABA therapies, right? And this is where we're seeing all of these services. They have 24-hour nursing services. So if Sebastian was in here and one of these nurses was taking care of him, I mean, and she saw his flyer, I would imagine she would still be one to report it, you know? Oh, that's so good, Tori. I'm so glad to hear that. So, screenshot. Oh, I see what you're saying, Witchy, for the comment. At least a year ago on one of the channels, I was leaving a remark and she started chatting or replying to my comments. Oh, that's interesting, Crazy Bird. Yeah, okay. Oh, number 5. Yeah, it's still open. It's still open, you know. And I mean, I would imagine the police would see it, but and everyone in Tennessee is a mandated reporter too, Rob Beanie. Like anybody in the state is mandated. So if they see anything, they have to say something. But that doesn't, mean a whole lot, I guess. But so this one says the facility accepts referrals from both in and out of state and are reviewed by the facility's treatment team for admission. Referrals for service are based on established agreements with child placing agencies across the nation to include, but are not limited to, state and local social service agencies, state Medicaid agencies, commercial and managed care insurance companies, and school districts, right? Because they are linked up to the school districts many times once they get to the facility where they're going to go to, or whatever's been chosen for them, based on their assessment, I should say. So fees are discussed with the referral source as well as insurance providers. So it says we provide our services on a contractual basis, right, with multiple agency types to include both commercial and managed care insurance companies, state and local departments of social services, and state and local school districts. Each contract is executed in accordance with the placing agency's rate methodology and is based off of our published gross charges for treatment services, right? So you can call their referral team or email their referral team here. So there's some options there for that. So again, that's just one of the treatment centers, Brooksville Youth Academy in Florida. And here's Broward Youth Treatment Center. Okay, that looks like Florida. 40 males between 13 and 18. So this one's to 18, right? So we're getting up in the numbers now. 13 to 18, in a non-secure residential commitment program that provides a therapeutic services to address all behavioral issues as well as mental health and substance abuse issues. Services are provided 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, right? Because they are, they have beds there. So they're staying there. This program provides gender specific programming for boys with program components and services that comprehensively address the special needs of adolescent boys. Broward Youth Treatment Center provides behavioral health services, psychoeducational groups, and anger management, victim awareness, social skills, moral development, and gang intervention. So we see that. And again, this one is going to be a little different. I was thinking when I looked at this, when I was clicking the link. So youth service have been adjudicated delinquent by the court and committed to the Florida Department of Juvenile Justice. The program is contracted through the Florida Department of Juvenile Justice. No additional fees are required from youth or families or insurance providers. So again, this is court ordered, as some of these facilities are. But again, there's under the same umbrella, as we were talking about last night, where it's all under this youth opportunities investments. But again, we're seeing the age jump up. Groot says, thanks, Groot. Groot says, any mention of ABA anywhere is not good news. I have more insight on that, but I have been deliberately holding back. I have reasons for that, but don't think it's something to put publicly here. No, it's okay, Groot. I completely understand. And, you have more, intimate knowledge about it as well. So I completely understand that. Detroit says CPS doesn't come in the middle of the night unless it's DV situation and children are involved, but LE would make that call and CPS or family would pick up the kids from the police station, in my opinion. Yeah. It's really weird how they deal with this, because again, I didn't realize that they were getting referrals directly from DCS, until we started getting into this website, because I just literally typed in the youth opportunities investments last night and it pulled this website up, and it was just showing all of the options, for what's offered through, and everywhere is state, like this one's Department of Juvenile Justice, right? So Most of us know that as like juvie or juvenile detention. Crestview Youth Academy, here's another one. This one's 56 males between 13 and 21. Okay, so again, guys, the numbers are jumping up. The numbers are jumping up. I think this one. Okay, so this one, let me make sure because I looked at some of these, but my brain is mush, like I said. Um, okay, so this one is also from juvenile. Yeah, this is also juvie. Sorry. So yeah, but again, this one is a secure residential program which provides mental health, substance abuse treatments, co-located with a non-secure residential commitment program serving 24 males, right, 13 to 18, providing services for boys who met the criteria for borderline developmental disability services or developmental disability DD services. BDD youth typically have a full scale IQ of 70 to 79, while DD youth IQ 69 and under, where the youth's IQ and functional limitations have been documented by the formal psychological evaluation completed within the last 12 months. Right? Services are provided 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And again, they deal with all kinds of different issues, right? And then it says the length of stay depends on the youth's pace of success in completing the individualized treatment plans and goals. The program overall goal is to equip youth for successful reintegration into the community to live productive, pro-social, and crime-free lives. Right? So I mean, it's just interesting that there's so many options for so many age ranges. Yeah, it would just be free with a referral. I know. That's why I was like, why were they willing? Because, like, even at 5,000 a month, because that's what it was saying, it was about 5,000 a month. So I'm like, okay, well, per year, that's 60,000, right? But it doesn't seem like they would I mean, I'm with you guys because I saw a lot of your comments. Like, I don't think they would pay for it either. They were complaining when they had to pay for specialized help from those residential programs that Seth was looking into. So, right, exactly. Just put Sebastian there. I mean, that's the biggest thing for me is the money thing, right? That And I remember Chris saying something to the effect of, well, if we were millionaires, then, everything would be fine. And does that mean that they would have sent, you know, Sebastian to a place that Seth wanted to send him to and he would have been okay? I mean, again, it's just a new angle to think about, guys. And especially if Sebastian didn't make it a home, this could be an option. And the thing is that there's so many of these places. Again, this is just 29 locations that we're looking at right now, but I mean, they're all over the place. All across the United States, they have places like this. Utah's huge for it, and those people do come in the middle of the night, take your kids, no questions asked, right? Really freaky. Um, well, and the thing is with the public information searches, sometimes those are not always 100% accurate. Um, I just don't know what to think or make of that, which I think, I mean, again, it would be interesting to know where Katie's gone or, where she's been, what she's been up to. Um, but some of those locations that were mentioned where Katie had lived or had addresses, some of the dates were a little bit off. So I just don't know about, because the public information sometimes it's tough to find out, what's accurate and what's not. So that's why I'm always a little hesitant. Yes, Detroit. That's what I'm talking about, the Utah places. Do you remember the name of the place where Paris Hilton was taken to? I know it was in Provo Canyon, Utah. Um, I'm trying to think. They took her in the middle of the night, yep, against her will, and she wasn't allowed any contact with her family, allegedly. Yeah, yeah, even though her parents were the ones that put her in there. Yeah, so they never knew. They had no idea. And those places too, they'll be like, "Okay, write to your parents," and then if you write anything bad, you're getting in trouble for it. And a lot of times there's essay and physical, mental, emotional, the whole reprogramming, brainwashing, all of that. Um, um, are there any specifically for addiction type programs? I don't know, Robini. Yeah, we do have to follow the money. That's for sure, Janet. That's for sure. The foster homes, groups, home, youth homes, etc. CPS will come out in the wee hours, and kids are moved around from one place to another in the wee hours to hide them. Wow. Wow, Christmas one. See, this is where I'm like, I mean, at this point, especially if there's money involved, right? Then they're going to do whatever they can do, right? They want to fill these locations up. Um, Here's Kissimmee Youth Academy. Wow, that looks like a mini kids prison, right? And again, look, youth opportunity investments, Kissimmee Youth Academy, right? Now, this is another one that is 14 to 21, right? Behavioral issues. Um, There's 32 beds. I don't see how that translates. 95 males, but there's 32 beds. That is creepy. And again, I'm pretty sure this is affiliated with the juvenile. But here's the thing, they could be moving monies around, and Sebastian could be in a place like this and they don't know that he's there. See what I'm saying? Like, this is the thing that's scary and bothersome when we look at this, because again, they're housing these people until they're 21. Here again, 14 to 21. Saying that, their length of stay, again, 9 to 12 months, but it depends on the youth's assessed risk, right, to reoffend or something like that. Like, what if they told the what if they told what if they told DCS that Sebastian was doing something to Faith that he didn't do, but they were saying he did it and they were being believed? So would they stick him in a place like this? Thank you, Tam. Coolwater, Utah. Thank you. So, um, it's just crazy. Uh, Duchesne, Utah, and Second Nature, Utah. I know that there was the one in Utah that they wanted to send Sebastian to as well. Aw, Christmas Swan, I'm sorry, hun. She says, I was in foster homes, group homes. I've seen it. I've seen all kinds of things go on. Yeah, I mean, and I believe it. I believe it, especially when it comes from, people have gone through it. Um, Yeah, from Florida. Yeah, so this would be a court ordered, but the thing is that since it's under this umbrella company, what I want you guys to remember is that all of these facilities are owned by Youth Opportunity Investments. So if they got funding from one place, they can transfer it to another place, whatever facility they wish to send it to. That's what I'm saying. It's about access, and it's about getting money for as many people as they have in there, right? So, and again, Here's Ocala, right? And then this looks even more like, whew, um, 72 beds, right? They do have classrooms, which I guess are these probably are the classrooms. But it is 15 to 18. Mental health overlay services. So, this one is also going to be youth service has been adjudicated delinquent by the court and committed to Florida Department of Juvenile Justice. The program is contracted through the Florida Department of Juvenile Justice. No additional fees are required, right, from insurance or anything because it's also court ordered. I wanted to show you guys the locations and what they offer. Deep Creek Youth Academy, again, here's another one. 117 males. This is 12 to 19. I just find the ages to be odd too. Like, how do they keep people afterwards? And again, it's got to be court ordered. Um, this one again, Florida Department of Juvenile Justice makes all placement decisions. Youth will not be retained in the program when they require services beyond those which the facility is licensed or has functional ability to provide as determined by the medical director in consultation with the chief operating officer or designee. So again, these places are just run very very weird. In my opinion, it's just very weird how they can keep people in here. But that's another one here in Florida. And what we're still going to look at some more of the ones in Tennessee as well. Um, yeah, and there's a lot of the wilderness therapy, these clinics, these ranches, those are the things that we can't take off the table. Yeah, yeah. Tam says, Second Nature Wilderness Utah is an outdoor program I worked at. I worked at it and they slept outdoors all winter and we get a lot of snow. Oh my gosh, Tam, that's terrible. See what I mean? They don't have any it's like they have no limits. I would think what a judge would have to order for a person to be there over 18 through guardianship kind of thing, but a judge would have to lay eyes on said person to order them. Right, exactly. Remember Devlin's judge. Yeah, exactly what but that's the thing. I'm wondering if they're just keeping him at one of the facilities and not saying anything. That could be something else where, because I know people just fall through the cracks on certain things. So, you know, in that case, maybe. I mean, I don't know. Seth could have even sent Sebastian to his parents in Texas until he was ready to keep him full time. I'm sure they would have kept him for a few months if he wasn't such a problem for KP and CP. Well, and the thing is Seth just didn't know. He didn't know. Um, we were talking about it last night, how he was approached by them. Like, they weren't saying we're at our wits' end. They were just kind of like, well, what would you think if Sebastian came to live with you? Type of a thing. And then he realized it. He didn't even know about the CPS reports until he heard about Chris bragging on Smiley. And then when he inquired about them and found out, he was just like, what the heck? Because he was thinking that he was going to get some CPS reports from November, but then he ended up getting all 4 reports and he was like, "Oh, okay, well I knew that there was a CPS report, but I didn't know that there was all of these, right?" But then there was even a 5th one still open. So, yeah, exactly. I mean, some of them are great, and that's the thing too, Robini, like some of these social workers are great, and I hate to disparage anybody that does their job and that does a good job and cares and that sort of thing. So, um no, DCS is CPS, Sasha, in Tennessee. They just call it DCS. So, I know, that's why I've been trying to be good about calling it. what it is there, because I know, and especially like when we do our searches and stuff like that on certain things, like we'll pull up better results if we put in DCS rather than CPS, because CPS isn't a thing in Tennessee. It's called DCS. Seth didn't know it was such a bad problem, right, until after. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's the bad thing. Um, White House Academy. He was trying to keep him in school till the end of the year too. Yeah, White House Academy. Is it on this list? Is it on this list, Tam, or do I have to go to another spot? Hold on, I didn't get all of the locations memorized yet. Um, okay, no, we got Everglades. Okay. White House Academy? Let's see. Private, is it a private school in Utah, Tam? Private Vernal, Utah? I'm just wondering how they would have gotten away with not paying for it. Again, because I know you guys are saying that you don't think that they would pay for it, which I don't either. I don't either. But I also think that if they were paying for it, that would be a bigger reason, right, to be found out. Because I mean, if they're paying 5,000 a month, at some point somebody's going to look at their financials, do forensics on their financials and realize that they're paying somebody 5,000. Who is it? Well, there you go. Right? That wouldn't take long to figure out. As a matter of fact, it would be a direct paper trail. Um, so yeah, yeah. Well, and I think also to Detroit, like I'm just wondering if they didn't give Seth that option at all, like because he didn't know about any of it. So maybe DCS was under the impression that he didn't have anything to do with any of it, you know? Okay, thank you, Tam. All right. Oh, great. Thank you, Witchy. Um, I'm assuming they didn't want him to tell Seth what was really going on. Yeah. Oh, they take cash payments. Trust me, there are kids in homes that are not court ordered or CPS placement involved. There are all kinds of secret ways that some of these places operate. It just depends on the child's circumstances. Christmas one, I've noticed that as well. I've noticed that as well. It's like they don't play by the rules, right? There's just something, and then also um I don't know how to explain this without ticking off YouTube, but in these facilities and in these different programs, they hire people who are not really teachers, right? And different things like that. And they're happy to take the position, right? And they're happy to assume control and do horrible things to these kids, right? That's what they're there for, right? Is to hurt the kids, but again, they're in this program. Uh so it's scary. It's scary to think about how these kids could just be kept in these places, and I believe that too. I mean, I'm just saying Sebastian would fit in to a place where they keep kids or people and, fall through the cracks somehow. Um, you know, So, thank you, Kylie. Thank you. Sebastian, that court case, all that happened before the court case, Sebastian was ready to talk. Well, and I think that he might have been also um telling, Janet, I do. Tori, I'm glad you were here. Thank you very much. Um, yeah, they done it behind Seth's back. Yeah. Yeah. Well, it's one in Utah, NorCal. I know I just looked it up. It's one in Utah. So, um I was thinking that's why I asked, is it Utah? Because I was thinking White House, Tennessee. Good night, crazy bird. So I remember when Chris said Sebastian was caught wearing a dress, and that's why my strong feeling is very oh PDF files. Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, and that's why I mean, like, they're fine with being in that position. Like, even some of these programs, right, that they've come out and talked about, um, have been that way as well. Where they're just bad people, you know? So I've never heard that before either with the dress. I think if it was CPS DHS placement, Ellie wouldn't allow for FBI Amber Alert. Yeah, I mean, that's another thing that stumps me too, because and again, why would one of these places still hold Sebastian if they knew everybody was looking for him? But then again, maybe they don't. So, um, you know, yeah, I don't know. And that's the thing. A lot of stuff has been deleted. A lot of stuff has been deleted because we were looking for that damn clip earlier today, and I believe it was deleted. I was calling everybody, or I was letting everybody know, hey, if you know what where this clip is that I'm looking for, let me know if you see it, because I'm trying to put it all together. And I have several of them, and then one that I didn't know about, so that's a good thing. But I was looking for one specifically, I couldn't find it. Um, so I wanted to show you guys. Okay, I think we looked at. Is this one Everglades? Oh no, we didn't look at this one. Oh my gosh. Ugh, woof. This one's 13 to 21. Um, providing specialized juvenile SA offenders, right? And again, this one's got to be from the Department, right, of Juvenile Justice, and no fees, right? Um, the Florida Department of Juvenile Justice makes all placement decisions, right? That's what they're saying. Youth will not be retained in the program when they require services beyond those in the facility that's licensed and functional ability to provide as determined by the medical director, chief operating officer, and designee. But again, you guys have to remember that the youth opportunity investments is the one that does all the hiring. Because if you go to the career tab here, you can see all of their open positions. See that? All of their open positions. So they do the hiring. So, and then St. Augustine. Here's another one. Again, looks like a mini jail. Also 18 to 21. Looks like substance abuse. And again, I'm believing all of these um, without knowing off the top of my head. But if it's over 18, I'm assuming that it's by the department. Also. Um, here's Orange Youth Academy. I think that's the same picture. Non-secure residential. It looks pretty freaking secure to me. Okay. But again, that's that one. And I want to show you guys the ones in Tennessee as well. Because again, just showing you guys these locations and seeing, how they're operated. I don't know that Sebastian would have been in a Florida facility because obviously I'm showing you guys that the Department of Juvenile Services and the court system is the ones that are, placing these kids or these young adults, even up to the age of 21 in these facilities. Well, there was in the one that I watched on Netflix, Detroit, there was cameras and they went back and got all the information off the cameras. Um, Here's Lebanon Youth, and I think we looked at that one. That's 7. Yeah, we looked at that one. Sorry. Um, Cleveland Youth Academy. 15 bed, right? A little bit smaller. And that one is 12 to 17. About 3 to 6 months, and again, affiliated with Department DCS, and also mental health treatment. So they're getting money probably from the state for the mental health aspect of that. Elizabethtown or Elizabethton, 12 to 17 again, still DCS. And let's see, Mount Juliet. Here's another 20 bed. Now this is girls, right? I knew some of these were just for girls, but that one is for girls. So I don't suspect that they would have put Sebastian there. Memphis Youth Academy here. This one is 13 to 18. We do know that Chris and Katie have made several trips to Memphis, obviously, to accompany her husband back to work. But again, mental health treatment as well as DCS referral. So we have that. And Rowan Youth or Roni Youth, 12 to 17. And this one does offer special education, teachers' aides, and that sort of thing. But again, I just don't think that they were looking at facilities that were geared towards Sebastian's needs. In my opinion, it was more of a behavioral type of an issue. And then here's Walnut Youth Academy, 13 to 18. And let's see. Education department is staffed by a principal and 2 teachers, of whom specializes in special education. Youth attend school in the same number of hours as regular Davidson County schools. So I don't know that they would put Sebastian here again. It's so close. And it doesn't seem like they are, again, looking for a place for Sebastian to go. Then again, he could have been assessed at the Gallatin Assessment Center and sent there. Walnut Youth. No, sorry, we just looked at that one. Hello. And then Rosewood Youth Academy. And this is 13 to 19. And again, DCS. So they're even keeping kids past 19 with DCS referrals, or up until 19 years old. There. And then here's Star Center, Safe Temporary Adolescent Respite Center. And again, it's just the generic picture that they've shown for several of the other facilities. This one is a therapeutic respite, right? It's designed for short-term structured care for youth experiencing moderate to severe behavioral or mental health challenges. Our center offers a safe, supportive environment for children and adolescents, right? And let's see. All right. Sorry, I scrolled down just a little bit too much. All right. And children and adolescents who have recently disrupted or placement or who require reassessment due to concerns related to safety, aggression, or difficulties with peer or adult relationships. STAR serves youth who are either entering initial state custody or who need stabilization and support before transitioning to a new placement or higher level of care. Our program focuses on short-term stabilization, continuous observation, and round-the-clock supervision to ensure the safety and well-being of each young person we serve. Priority given to youth who present a risk of harm to themselves or others, and our team is trained to provide trauma-informed care that meets these complex needs. Right? So again, I want to just scroll down. Yeah, this is also going to be DCS referral. Um, let's see. I thought this one said more about their facility. uh Okay, so here it is. Okay, so the youth remain in care for no more than 10 days. During this time, our team focuses on crisis stabilization, assessment, and preparing each child for successful transition to their next placement, whether they can be returned to home, foster care, or higher level of care. So this is really important right here um, to remember as well. And then I will just show you there's this Texas location, Rockdale Youth Academy. Okay, and that is like very youth opportunity investments forward. Okay, this is 10 to 17, 65 beds. And this one is going to be through Texas. So that one probably wouldn't transfer over again like what we're seeing in, but I just don't know if they're recommended by DCS to go to one of these facilities, if that's where they would send them to. Here's another one, New Hope Youth Center. This one's 10 to 17. And yeah, this is Michigan Department and foster care systems. So we accept youth through adoption subsidy and private insurance on case-by-case basis. The rate for the program is determined through a rate setting process with the state of Michigan outlined within our contract. And again, guys, these places are contracted through the state. So just to, point that out as well. Yeah, yeah, I think so too, Christmas one. I mean, there's many, 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 many places. And even Chuchi had sent me some. I'm not sure if I'm just not sure if they have locations in other countries. I'm still kind of looking into that, even though obviously Alaska is in the United States, but I don't know because there's nothing on this website um, that mentions Alaska. So that's why I was like, well, I don't know about that. Um, I think if it was CPS or DCS placement, Ellie wouldn't allow. Oh, sorry, I already read that one. Um, They always look for positions to work with. Yeah, kids, the sickos. Yeah, oh, I know. They do. It's like anytime that we see this stuff going on, it's amazing who all is usually involved with it. Um, I mean, it does appear that, you know, the Yellow Jacket had a picture of Sebastian on his phone. So, I mean, that's the way I look at it anyway. I mean, it does appear that the picture was taken by Katie at the table, and it appears to be the same picture that ends up on the Yellow Jacket's phone. I mean, again, there's just like so much surrounding um the Yellow Jacket, and then all of these different locations. I mean, that would have been subbed out by Bledsoe, right? Especially that we know now that it turned into an assessment center um sometime after whatever transpired. Well, we know what transpired, and um but what had gone on with the New Hampshire kids that had come over to get treatment from this facility. And again, it doesn't mention New Hampshire even being a part of any of this, right? So how are they getting kids from New Hampshire to come over to Gallatin, Tennessee for treatment? Again, if it's funded by the state of New Hampshire and DCS, right, which it's called uh, something completely different in New Hampshire, how are they transferring that money that's supposed to be allocated towards the state of New Hampshire to send these kids to Gallatin to be abused? Riddle me that, Batman. Hey, Women's Warrior, good to see ya. So, and I haven't rolled out the church stuff either, because there's a lot of those out there too. You know, right? That's right, Witchy. I'm glad you said that because I completely forgot about that earlier when we were talking. The Virgin Islands and Puerto Rico are considered U.S. and do not need passport to travel to go there. Right? Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, that's the thing. When we're thinking about these places and we're thinking about how Chris and Katie were looking into them, the one thing that does stand out to me is the fact that this would have all been paid for, so there would have been no paper trail. So, um, yeah, I would think so. I would think so, Witchy. I mean, look, there's people that are always trying to take advantage of stuff. Oh, I'm glad you're here, Anne. CP found Sebastian in church, said go to church. Yeah, yeah, he did. He did. The email I sent is the Star Guides Wilderness Therapy Clinic. Okay, thank you, Kylie. Yeah, I mean, I think that he could be in any of those places. I really do. I really do. I think he could be in any of these places. And like I said, the most appealing thing about this would be that the state picks up the bill, right? We know how Chris doesn't like to pay for shit, in my opinion. So, um, I think that says a lot right there as well. Um, yeah, but again, I just don't know how those kids, the money for those kids that came from New Hampshire was paid to Gallatin if it's state funded, and DCS or Department of Children and Family Services, if they're paying for it, how are they paying for those kids to go to the one in Tennessee? Oh, you think that he's part of the church and connected to that particular camp, Kylie? Really? Wow. That's a good question, Detroit. Can they get away with signing over Sebastian to state custody without Seth's signature if they claim Seth was MIA? They didn't have a court-involved agreement, so nothing is on paper involving Seth. Well, I mean, I think that's a good question, especially because they weren't involving Seth in any of it. I mean, he seemingly didn't know that any of that was going on, you know? Oh, okay, Christmas Swan says some of these places have the main house along with sister homes that are not adver that they don't advertise. Kids are shuffled around a lot of these homes and do not have any technology, TV or radio. Well, and I agree. And then we also talked about Christmas Swan, how there was many people coming forward, and I can't remember exactly how long ago, but it wasn't terribly long ago, that it was reported to the news that kids were sleeping on blow-up mattresses in the offices, DCS offices. And then DCS was saying, no, 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 that's not happening. But then there were pictures that were coming up and, people were whistleblowing. And then also there was a call to 911 by a child saying, they're locking us in here and not letting us out and different things like that. Right. So, um, deny, deny, deny is what they were doing. But it does appear that was the truth, and that's what was going on. Is that these kids were staying at the offices and things. So I wouldn't put it past them to put any kids anywhere. You know, yeah. If the beds are full, they probably could call their sister company. Yeah, yeah, absolutely. CP also said that when they bring the the proof, it will be proof like, what the hell does that mean? Yeah, he's never brought any receipts or proof of anything. Chris and Katie have never showed us shit. The only person that's ever showed us any type of proof of receipts of anything is Seth. That goes for the polygraph test, that goes for his time cards, that goes for all of it. It's wild. It's like he didn't make it to one of those places though, but that was the plan of intention. Well, yeah, I think the church connection could definitely be on the table, NorCal. I mean, I do. Yeah, the LDS does hide. Yeah, they do. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, they're very culty. They're super culty, Robini. What about one over the border or something like towards Alaska or somewhere, a church or military connected ones? Yeah, I mean, the military connection is another one, but I would just think, well, I don't know. I guess nothing is off the table. I was gonna say I would think that they would know that Sebastian's missing, but then again, they haven't done anything. I mean, none of Katie and Chris's people have ever come out to help them, ever. None of their military people ever, right? Their friend Lori came out and helped him with a big heap and bunch of Mexican food. I saw that on camera. But that's about the only thing she's helped out with is eating salsa. You know, makes you wonder. We look at Gannon Stauch's case, and all of Al's friends were there, right there to help search for Gannon, right there to bring pizza. To do what people do, come out and support. Chris and Katie have never done that. They've never put their boots on the ground. No one's ever came out to help, except for the PI that they paid $15,000 to do nothing for, in my opinion. Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, there were pictures of it and everything, Christmas Swan, and they were just denying it. They were just denying it, you know? So, I hate how CP says he has an alibi because he was at work. You don't work at night. Yeah, yeah, exactly. You don't work the night shift, dude. Right? Exactly. Yeah. He started, I guess, working the night shift according to him. He said he did anyway. Yeah, I think so. I think he would try to get a hold of him too, Detroit. That's what's kind of worrisome about these places, though, because they don't let him talk to anybody. And when they, a lot of times when they'll write them or something like that, they'll say they sent it, but they didn't, you know? Like in one of those documentaries I watched, there was all kinds of letters that they had sent home and they never made it home. They just would keep the letters. So, and again, these are places where people are mistreating these kids, abusing them, all of that. So, I believe in the first year, BHB said something about there being no care beds in Tennessee, and they were telling parents that they were using various states and parents not afford contact travel. Hmm. If he was alive, CP and KP would have had him in a camp till he was 18 and then sent him to the military. I mean, it's just that you need so many documents to join the military. Like, they ask for everything. They want to know everything. Well, that's where I'm wondering if they didn't brainwash or something. I mean, because Katie was telling Sebastian something at the table, and I'm thinking maybe she was telling him that his dad was on board with stuff, or, this is the decision that's been made. And Sebastian, I think, I mean, I can't be 100% on this, but, I think that he probably knew or overheard some conversations knowing that they were going to send him away. And, with Chris being the narcissist that he is, in my opinion, he was probably holding that over Sebastian's head, you know? They were probably holding it over his head and being like, if you're not good, we're going to send you away. And, they, again, CPS seems to have options for families that appear that, to not be able to take care of their children or, help them through different issues they're having, and so they'll refer them out to some place like this. And I mean, I do believe that's where Chris and Katie came up with the idea for Bledsoe. I think they were, referred by DCS. Um, so yeah, I never believed him either, Janet. So many red flags, and then you realize it's like there's no way that it could have went down like that, the way that they're saying it did. Yeah, good point, Bo. Really good point. Sebastian probably wouldn't be able to be in the military because he's got the disability. Yeah. Yeah. No. Mm-mm. No, women's warrior. You have to be in like the best shape. And, even if you have like eye vision problems and things like that, there's certain things that the military, um, won't take you. So, yeah. Scranton says same, Janet. Before I knew anything about the case, I heard CP and KK's interview, and I said to myself, those two are liars. My first impression. Yeah. Same here, especially, seeing the Holly Thompson interview. I was like, these two are weird, I mean, I was thinking maybe I was more focused on Chris, and I was thinking maybe Katie didn't realize that he did something, that sort of thing. Yeah, Detroit says they could have been what she was telling him at the Texas Roadhouse, your dad doesn't want you and this is where you're going. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think she could have just said, all of us have made this decision, Sebastian, and we're going to have to send you away. And, I know that he did shrug during the conversation, and then he also like shook his head no, right? And then he got really, really nervous. So, yeah, just like Miss Ola, punch, and I don't know what happened. I was on the floor. It's like, really? Well, you were outside, so don't you mean the ground? That was my first indication that lady was lying her ass off, because usually a floor is in the house and not outside. Um, but Katie's story is just as preposterous as that, in my opinion. You know? Yeah, thanks, Witchy. Yeah, good point. Yeah, diabetes will get you medically discharged from the Navy. Happened to a friend of mine. Yeah, they just want you to be in the best health, and if you do have like ailments and stuff like that. And again, the VA will take care of most things. Well, arguably. I think that's a very good guess on the conversation at dinner. Yeah, I mean something was being said there, right? Either Sebastian was getting scolded for something, which I absolutely think that Katie was being, stern with him. Um, and it was something that he wasn't liking to hear, So yeah, the rocking back and forth was odd, right? I for a little while thought maybe Katie was on the spectrum. But turns out, once I realized that she was in the military and stuff like that, I was like, well, then she probably wasn't the one, but there was a couple other indications, I guess. But, you know, yeah. Well, and then Chris was never comforting Katie or any of that. It was just like all about his agenda. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. It's just like one little thing could be the reason why they don't take you. So that's a good point, guys. Yeah. Oh, wow. Wow, Robini. And something went wrong at the roadhouse, not according to what they planned. I mean, that's what I'm thinking, Janet, because it does seem like there was that commotion that happened. Katie wasn't happy to see Green Hoodie, but she still interacted with her. And that's one thing that does shoot up a lot of red flags to me, because it's not like Katie, you know, stopped in her tracks and had Green Hoodie come towards her. She went full on towards Green Hoodie and continued to advance on Green Hoodie until they were hidden by Katie's van, and something seems to have been exchanged or given um, during that interaction, in my opinion. And again, there was just a lot of activity, and it does raise the question, like, why would they do something at the Texas Roadhouse when there's so many cameras around? Um, I'm still trying to figure that out, but I don't think they were supposed to do anything specifically at the Texas Roadhouse, besides, maybe in a public setting, um, where they could see Sebastian or get a picture of him. I don't know why, Yellow Jacket would have had to go, in there, make himself seen or anything like that, even though they were wearing a mask and, many layers of clothes. But it's all weird. So, oh, thank you, Kylie Ray. Thank you. Yeah, I don't know. It's probably a higher level, because I don't know. I know that they have some pretty harsh stipulations on. Sorry, I clicked on the wrong one. Some pretty high standards. I'll just say that, not stipulations. I'd love to know what made everyone look at them that night. Yeah, I mean, something happened. Something happened. And again, it wasn't like Katie was like, get away from my car. Because if it was somebody that was like lurking by her vehicle, I don't think she would advance on them. Especially Katie. She's a coward, in my opinion. I don't know how she made it through the military. Kylie, yes, but with the chromosome deletion and restrictions for head injuries. Yeah, well, that's a good point too. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, and that's the thing with the even Seth was saying like he was playing soccer with Sebastian, but he didn't want him to play like actual football because of his head injury. Well, not it wasn't a head injury, it was a pocket of fluid on his brain. So, you guys are jinxing each other, Robbie and Witchy. Um, so yeah, I mean, it's just request a waiver to be accepted. I mean, I don't know. It just depends. I think it's on an individual basis, and I know you have to go through like aptitude tests and things like that. So, I'm not saying that Sebastian couldn't have served, but um I just don't know if that would be something, especially with him being missing, having the $50,000 reward with the FBI. And again, that does, kind of stump me when it comes to the whole situation. So, yeah, you have to pass physical requirements, right? Exactly, Witchy. Yeah. So, yeah. I mean, I think that they were definitely trying to get rid of Sebastian. I hate saying it, So, yeah, I would like to know what happened. I mean, I don't understand why law enforcement didn't question everyone that was outside during that interaction, because there was absolutely an interaction going on, and I don't know why if they didn't um double check on that, and get statements from people. I mean, that's what law enforcement does, right? They go, they question, they interview, they get statements, they analyze footage. I don't know why they didn't get more footage. I'm not sure why they didn't get multiple angles, because again, it doesn't much help us the angle that we have as much as that front door camera would give us a better view, especially of people's faces that were going in and out of those doors. And there's multiple cameras. It does show laziness or incompetence, Robini. That's the thing. And they should have collected all of that. So they should have collected all of that, in my opinion. And it would have been we would have a lot more information. And again, if we could look at Katie's movements or what she's saying, that might help a little bit too, to have that angle of Katie, instead of having the camera focused on Sebastian. What about what Katie was saying and doing? Because we can only see her profile. So, yeah, there are a lot of cushy desk jobs in the military. That's true. No, they didn't look into her or him until a year later, right? Yeah, because when I checked back on the live that I did, it was on Sebastian's birthday, and it was when the Texas Roadhouse footage came out, and we did a live on it, and it was his birthday that we saw that. Um, yeah, I think so too. I think so too, Detroit. I think a big part of it had to do with court. And let's not forget about the January evaluation too, because the court was going to be looking over all of the documents as well. So, but I'm going to fit that into a timeline too. Today just really got away with me, but like I said, or really got away from me. But like I said, I was really excited to see everybody's excitement surrounding this topic, and, appreciate all of you guys sending me information, and, um, just for or against the subject, or, different viewpoints. And again, I was looking for a specific clip, and I just don't know that it's still out there. Um, yeah, well, I want to go over some of what Nina was saying too, as it pertains to this. So, um, I'm going to be putting together videos as well. Like I said, I just didn't think that, we were going to kind of stumble upon this information. And our friend KJ Mack was like, well, who owns it, right? And then Bo was saying that she couldn't get an email over to Bledsoe, but I think it was because they changed over from the assessment center, and so they're no longer the academy where I'm sure they probably had that information on there before. But I'd like to know where that transition came from and when it happened. So, yeah, I would too. Yeah, Raw Beanie. I mean, I would too. I would like to know, but the other ones are too scared to come forward, in my opinion. So I think that's part of it too. Um, but yeah, so I'm gonna get together a video, like I said, of just a lot of the information that we've compiled today, and then some of these interviews. I wanted to kind of put a little bit of the clips in there about when Seth first got the CPS reports, and when it first came out that he got the CPS reports, um, just so we can kind of establish a timeline there. Um, so I'll be working on that for you guys. So hopefully I'll have a video out by tomorrow. I'm working on a couple of different things, so I might have a couple for you guys. But again, like I said, I just didn't think that this was going to be as as big of a conversation as it's become. And again, this FBI most wanted kidnapped Sebastian Wayne Drake Rogers, it's right there in the link. Um, yeah, 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 and I was watching that too, Robini, some of those clips today, because I was looking through some of the older stuff as well. And I do remember that. Um, Supposedly Katie was very abusive to Seth, and I think a lot of it was being alleged to happen when she joined the Navy, which is odd, because usually they teach you to, respect your spouse and that sort of thing. So, yeah, and I understand that too. And she doesn't, poor Faith doesn't deserve any of this. Um Detroit says Nina probably doesn't want to upset Faith, but she is getting older, and we have a lot of questions about what happened to Sebastian. She has to spend another summer without her brother. Yeah, I know, and it's sad. And the way that they were trying to come out and talk about Sebastian is another thing that I wanted to, um, again, bring to the forefront, because these are the things that they were probably telling DCS. If I could bet my bottom dollar on it, I would. That something something was going on where they were disparaging Sebastian, and then even after he went missing, they're still trying to push that. So, yeah. Yeah, I mean, and I think Katie, you know, um I guess she was an electrician to begin with. Um yeah. Yeah, and plus the thing that sucks too is that, again, with family court, they don't want to see one parent out bashing the other one. So she was actually going out on a big limb doing what she did, um, sharing her story with Trevor and everything like that. Um, yeah, yeah. Faith should never have to deal with that. No, I don't think she should either. Um, Private paid agency homes is not centrally tracked. Yeah. I mean, and that's what worries me, Christmas one, because a lot of this stuff, I mean, people can fall through the cracks. And again, if they're taking children from other states and putting them, who's to say that they're not putting Sebastian down in Florida? We don't know that. We just don't know that. I mean, even if it's, a facility that is run by the Department of Florida. I mean, right here in Tennessee is where they brought kids from all the way from New Hampshire over here. Sorry, over here somewhere. So I mean, look, it's not unheard of. So yeah, I know. I know. I was like that too, Detroit. Yeah, I was like one of those kids that was inquisitive, asked questions. I mean, you know, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it does. Yeah. Yeah. I'm surprised that Katie was never reprimanded ever for any of that. Same thing goes for Chris. Um, I agree too. I know Groot, and that's the thing. Yeah, I feel like more questions that Faith asks, the more risk she is at with KP and CP in the home. Yeah, in my opinion, I understand that. Yeah, I mean, I think that she's probably afraid. She probably knows. You know, she probably. In my opinion, she's old enough, and I think she does know that if she asks questions, it's not going to be good. You know, so. Yeah, Nina didn't send Faith until Sebastian found CPS. Well, and I mean, I don't see how they can send Faith there with that one CPS report still open and then Sebastian's still missing. Janet, I don't understand how where the logic is in any of that. I don't see how they could do that and think that it's okay, or safe or anything. Um, it blows my mind, really. It really does. And then to know that they had cameras allegedly in Faith's room. I mean, there's just so much wacky stuff that I can't even imagine. Um, yeah, I remember that being said as well about KP. Yeah, I heard that too. I heard that too. Um, and I know that, you know, Seth had shared some of that stuff with us as well. Yeah, yeah. And I mean, I think that Seth really tried very hard, and we're gonna watch some older interviews of Seth, but he was trying really hard not to badmouth Katie or say anything. But it just kind of like spiraled out of control, right? Because there was a lot of things coming out, and he just couldn't, he couldn't help her out anymore. He had helped her out long enough, and you know, so yeah. Yeah. Well, and also, I just don't think that Katie got the help that she needed, from her trauma and stuff. I think, she just bottled it up and, you know, so yeah, he tried so hard not to go there, right, Robbie? I mean, he did. He really did. And the worst, the worst part is that, you know, he had to go there. I mean, he had no choice. He had no other choice because of the way things were going and how horrible things got. And then people were also digging and finding things out, and then there was no hiding it anymore. Because a lot of people would say, well, just because she was doing that then, maybe she changed and stuff like that, but it doesn't appear that that's the case. So I don't think it was to be nice to KP. It was out of respect for Sebastian. Yeah, yeah. Well, absolutely. Yeah, I think so too. Yeah, CP was always going there. He couldn't help himself. And he was talking bad about Sebastian and threatening Seth, behind the scenes. And that's when Seth eventually comes out and says, look, this is what was really going on with my son. Um, and finally put it out there because he was tired of Chris holding it over his head and saying, well, I'm going to tell, I'm going to tell, I'm going to tell. And finally, Seth's like, well, I'll tell. and he wasn't banking on that because they were trying to bully Seth, in my opinion, and strong arm him. Um, even when it came to uh, the let's all work together thing. Because even though he was saying let's all work together, it looked very aggressive to the rest of us where we're looking at what's going on and like, wow, okay, he's aggressive stanced and all of that. Um, I think Uncle Taco and his wife are actually searching in Florida. Um, the last I heard, and doing flyers and stuff, Detroit. So that's really cool. Um, Yeah, he does. He does talk bad about everybody. Yeah, he does. Yeah, creators, it doesn't matter. He tries to tell everybody how to do their job. How you could be a better creator, all this other crap. He's so full of it. He's so full of it, you know. Um but I want to get some more of this information out to you guys in a video. So I'm going to put that together. And if you guys have more information, I hate to even ask at this point because I am overloaded. But if you guys do have more info, just send it to my email, or if you're a part of the Discord, drop me a DM in the Discord, and I'll look at, whatever we can come up with. So, um, yeah, well, and even, yeah, Kylie Ray, and it does appear that, just even the Christmas before Sebastian went missing, he spent it with Seth and not when Faith came, you know? So, yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly, Witchy. From the outside looking in, we saw that in the big F craw. Yeah. Ca- Statement. Yeah. Yeah. I know. Chris just wanted to work together to control Seth. Yeah, I agree. I agree. I think that he definitely wanted to make Seth tell everybody that, hey, we're working together, and if you don't like it, too bad, kind of a thing. Um, but I think that he didn't have any intentions of working with Seth, or doing anything. He just wanted the heat taken off of him and Katie because everybody from the beginning saw the big difference, right, in the way that the parents were behaving. Chris and Katie acting completely different than Seth, you know. Thank you, Bo, and thank you guys all for helping out with this because this is just great, getting these topics out there and then discussing them and coming up with different theories, trying to figure out if maybe this is something that we need to be looking into. So um yeah, I mean, it does seem that way, Robini. It does. Yeah. And just the way that they just drug Sebastian's reputation through the mud, like Tony was saying, so thank you so much, Witchy. And thank you guys again. Thank you guys all so much for and Chuchi must have went to sleep. But just for sending out all the information and getting everything together. Same thing for Jules and Kylie, thank you for sending me email. I really appreciate it. And I'm sorry if I was overwhelmed today, but I was like, oh my goodness. Um I just thought you meant like overkill as in like they were no, I mean it kind of made sense to me, Robini, because I was like, yeah, I mean it's like they're overdoing it, but I see the typo. Women's Warrior says, I believe if Nina had the right advocate from DVSA service that used new evidence and the damage in children being victims in their own right, the courts would allow Faith to go there, in my opinion. I don't know what's wrong with the New Mexico court system, family court. It's the same way. It's terrible here in the US. Women's Warrior. It's absolutely wretched. It's absolutely wretched. And it's not just Tennessee. It's not just New Mexico, it's everywhere. Everywhere, unfortunately. They say they're looking out for the best interest of the child, and they never usually do what's in the best interest of the child. It's whoever has the best lawyer, which we all know how we get the best lawyer? Money. That's how you get a best lawyer. And never represent yourself in court ever. Never. Never, ever, 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 ever. Unless it's like, where I was pro se for the restraining order that I got, but that's a different story altogether. But yeah, family court, you're better off just getting a lawyer and do what they tell you. Don't try to be fair, because there is nothing fair about it, in my opinion. So, thank you, Christmas Swan. Thank you, guys. Thank you. Yeah, it's always the money. It's always about that money. And those lawyers are the ones that they're the ones that come out like bandits. Um so, and even if you're a fair-minded person, like even Seth had said that, like my lawyer wanted to take Katie to the cleaners, and I said no. I just, I just want a divorce, and I don't want to hurt the mother of my child. But she had a completely different motive in mind, and her lawyer's telling her, to go after him for everything. That's just how they are, and it's sad for the kids. It really is. It's terrible, and it's terrible for people who don't want to be that person. Um, but yeah, it's bad. I want to do a live. I've been talking to a friend of ours too about maybe doing a live where we talk about some of those aspects. Yeah, exactly. Money talks. That's right. It does, Robbie. It sure does. Yeah, and that's what I'm thinking. You know, it talks to you too when things are free, and oh, we'll send your kid here and they'll have a great. We're gonna straighten them out and that sort of thing. So yeah, absolutely, Detroit. Well, thank you so much, because I loved hearing your perspective as well. I mean, we all got to put our heads together. Whatever makes sense. If it doesn't, if we can find something. Okay, no, we're not on the right track, or we are. So yeah, it's all about the money. It is. Yeah. Yeah, she has been Kylie Ray. Yeah, it's just difficult because, again, if you're the parent, and they made Nina look completely nuts, right? Because when she was at the airport, when she's bringing Faith, talk about Christmas time, they ended up getting her um triggered right in that moment, and then recording her. So then the court was wanting her to be evaluated, right? Or showing that to the court. Then Chris was like, I want her evaluated, right? And hopefully her lawyer said, well, we need him evaluated as well, because that's the best way to figure things out. you know it really is. So it really is, because that's how you can figure out who's got the what wrong with them, and if there is anything, or if anybody needs some extra help and counseling and that sort of thing. So yeah, it is. It's a horrible trick. It is. It's a horrible trick, Women's Warrior. It really is. Well, guys, let's just continue to figure out what's going on with this situation here. Um and again, I know that there's a lot of them out there. This is something that we keep kind of revisiting, but this is more of a, I guess, where we can kind of pinpoint some locations and maybe figure out how we can find out if Sebastian's there or not. So let's just keep on it and see what we can find. Keep digging on it and see, um, you know, what all is, a good option, or what all could actually have happened here, or if anything, or if nothing happened. So thank you, Robini, and thank you guys so much. And then I will see you guys, if not during the day. Again, we'll do a night show. Um, but I'm gonna try to get these videos out to you guys too. All right, guys, you have a wonderful rest of your day, and I will talk to you all very soon.